Welcome back to Between Two FARS. I'm Warnke Miller here once again with the superstars of NASA procurement law, Robert Tepfer and Michael Mark. We're going to start a new series today talking a little bit about the resolution of disputes and the importance of considering your settlement options early on. We're going to be focusing on FAR 33204 and the provisions therein, and maybe a little bit of the policy behind that. Gentlemen, what do you do when your contractor's not happy and it looks like we may be careening into a dispute?
Well, you better get ready because things are going to get worse before they get better. The first thing I think the lawyers, again, I'm going to go back to, I think I said this maybe in a very early Between Two FARS, is the lawyer's job is to exercise common sense. So for the first thing you want to do is this really worth fighting about? And I see you've pulled up FAR 33.204, which basically says, rather than go into litigation, let's try and resolve the dispute, negotiate, see if we can settle the matter without going through the whole process. ADR is kind of farther down the process. I think that's a more formalized thing. And frankly, the ASPCA was created as an ADR and as alternative dispute resolution, and it doesn't really seem to work that way anymore. As a matter of fact, the board now has ADR for their ADR processes. So the first thing you want to do is say, okay, what are the facts? What's the problem here? What are they complaining about? What do we have? And one of the things that I often hear is we're totally without fault. It's all their fault. We owe them nothing. And my general reaction to that is, guys, there's always two sides to the story. Your job, Mr. CEO, is to be objective about this. Our job is to be fair with the contractor. So if we've done something wrong, we need to own up to it and we need to make it right. But if they're not doing it right, we need to put them on notice. They're not doing whatever it is they're supposed to be doing, and we're going to hold them to it. So I think the first thing is gather the facts. Let's understand what is it they're arguing about. What do we have? Do we agree? Do we disagree? Where are the holes? And try to work it out. Work with the CO and if need be with the contractor to try and understand the problem and see what we can do about it. Bob is more of a litigator, I think, than I am. So I'll be curious to see what he has to say.
Well, in my opinion, when you have that situation develop, there's always two things that I go in and I'm concerned with. One is personalities, because particularly in some organizations, the people just don't get along that well anymore. And there's a history, and you have to take that in consideration. And if you're the people that are involved, you have to sit back. You may get somebody else involved who's not engaged in a continuing battle since a year ago, November. The second thing that I try to get people to do is I'll have them engage in correspondence, which I review, explaining the way we see the facts and asking them to respond. The issue is communication. I want to do it for two reasons. One, I really want them to communicate our way we see it, and that we're trying to be equitable in the way we treat them and everything. The second thing I want to do is I am generating paper for the Rule 4 file early on. And we're putting forth our understanding of the facts of the case and embedded in that the law, because the lawyers should be reviewing this. That should be sent out to generate a response from them. One of the reasons why I want to do that is I want to have them come back with their statement as to the facts before they get legal counsel tied up and engaged in a pure advocacy position. Having them respond with what the facts are, which is going to be one of the early tabs in the file, and have them speak to how they actually perceive things. Then they're in the record. If nothing else, if things do have to progress the litigation, that piece of paper is going to be a part of the deposition. But the real essence is to try to disengage them early on and say, look, this is the way we see things. This is what we thought we had agreed upon. What are you seeing differently? That communication can eliminate the dispute.
No, I think those are some very good points to keep in mind. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of, how you find that time, maybe extend some timelines that are in the FAR when you are looking towards resolving something before issuing a contracting officer's final decision. Do you think we could come back again next time and talk a little bit about that?
Certainly.
Sure.
All right. Join us again next time between two FARs.